Welcome to the Den. Welcome back to the Den, everybody. This is episode 5, but it's not going to be one of our regular episodes, as you could probably tell by the thumbnail and the title. I got a little carried away last week, just trying to, just having fun writing about football, right? I was like, all right, what are my top 10 tight ends in the league? And there was a lot of good options, so, all right, what's my top 15? Finally, I settled on my list of the top 20 tight ends in the NFL currently. And like the tight end position is so interesting. I watched a tremendous video on tight ends. I can't remember the name of the channel. It's like Anthony something, but kind of talked about how the position is it's getting reformed right now. It's finding a new the word tight end is kind of becoming just an idea and less of an actual position. So it kind of dove me into this rabbit hole of my list of the best tight ends in the league. My takes are a little less. They don't form to exactly what everyone else thinks in the league, but they're not just saying outlandish things just to be outlandish. So I hope you guys do enjoy this list. I hope you enjoy this video. I'm not sure if this kind of content, this could be something I want to go towards in the future because it's a little different than just like a weekly recap. That's something what I've been doing with this channel. But yeah, just testing this stuff out. I'm super excited to get into it. So I do have a few honorable mentions before we start the list. One guy I want to shout out is Darren Waller. Darren Waller this year with Miami. Um, he's been out, I think, since after the first 4 games, but there were a few plays he made in there were 2 or 3 games earlier this season where he looked like he was back in prime Darren Waller form. Coming off the couch, coming out of the rapping studio, Darren Waller looked like a serious baller. I don't think they're even going to get him back this season. Maybe they'll get him back towards the end, but like you saw his hands and his ability to catch and make those like contested spectacular catches, like they were like A tier at a certain point at the beginning of the season. Then one more guy I want to give an honorable mention to. This is a guy I loved coming out of college. I was before I became a UCS student. I was all Gators, all go on their biggest prospects, right? And Kyle Pitts coming out of the draft. Everyone remembers a song from TikTok. Kyle Pitts, tight end number 84, from Florida. He giant frame, athleticism was off the charts. Got picked number 4 overall by the Falcons. But it's just been too many years of waiting and waiting and waiting. That whole meme about taking Kyle Pitts, round 1, pick 1 in fantasy. It's kind of it's a reflection of how much he's let down the league. And obviously, I'm not saying any of it's due to hard work or a lack of it or anything like that. It's just he hasn't been able to put his tools together and become consistent. I've talked about this in like half the podcasts. Every time he catches the ball, he runs backwards. And I don't know if it's just the scheme he's in, but I don't ever see him successfully get targeted downfield, which is like what you wanted from Kyle Pitts coming out of Florida. When you have a tight end who's this athletic and his ability to move around the field was so good in college, that's what you wanted. And when the only way you can actually utilize him is on 3rd and 10 and he doesn't get enough yards for a first down, it's clear that he just hasn't reached that potential. Obviously, it's still there, and there has been plays throughout his career where you see those flashes of him from Florida, but it's not nearly consistent enough for what you're looking for from a 4th overall pick and a tight end. Now to start the list with number 20 for me. This guy's a rookie, came out of Bowling Green. His stats in college were ridiculous, but you see guys like I think Nick Nash, he led college football last year in like every single statistic, but he didn't. I don't think I think he's still in the practice squad for the Falcons right now. But this guy's definitely not on a practice squad. Harold Fannin Jr., he has been so close to what he was doing in college at Bowling Green for a prospect in the NFL. And that transition's never going to be easy. If I had to give him any knocks right now, he is on the Browns. The target share he's going to get while on the Browns, he's competing with, yes, David Njoku, whose spot he is pretty successfully taken over this year, and Jerry Jeudy is the only other really receiving threat that they have there, if you want to call Jerry Jeudy that, right now in Cleveland. So Harold Fannin, he's taken this opportunity, and he's made so much of it. Over the last 5 games, he's had at least 4 catches. Right now, he's 12th in the league in yards, which, again, for a rookie coming out of Bowling Green, I'm positive he wasn't a high pick. He wasn't anywhere near like rounds 1 or 2. But yeah, he's made an impact on every single game. that he's played for the Browns. And like that for the future, looking towards the future with Harold Fannin, he's not going to be 20 for long. He's not going to be this low on anyone's list for a while, especially like when you consider that there's not much talent around him. That's a downgrade, right? You can take that away from maybe just the stats, like 12th in receiving yards isn't just because he's that good, right? But when there is a boost of talent around him and the stats maybe take a little bit of a hit, you'll see with a better quarterback, definitely with a better O-line, giving him more time and opening up his run blocking, like he's going to shoot up. He's only going to get better from here. Number 19, this is a guy in the Giants. He was a second round pick, I believe, last year from Penn State. He had a good amount of hype coming into that draft. This year, it feels like everyone's forgotten the name, Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson right now, he's 18th in yards in the league, so nothing crazy there, but he's been able to step up through these Giants injuries in a pretty big way. He's got a really, really big 6'6", 264 pound frame, and it really helps him like fall forward. Out of most of these tight ends on this list, he does one of the better jobs of getting as many extra yards as he can, which we know the Giants offense definitely needs right now. But he's been a nice surprise, especially because it felt like he disappeared a little bit off everyone's radars. Theo Johnson wasn't a name. And they have another tight end there, Daniel Bellinger. Daniel Bellinger is one of the best tight ends in the league at getting big splash plays. I think he's like number one right now. Yeah, he's got a 12.78 average depth of target, which is ridiculous. I think that's number one for any tight end right now. But Theo Johnson overtook him on the depth chart, and he's already got like 307 routes run. He's been a very consistent force in that offense that had to rotate a lot of different players, and he's definitely stepped up through those injuries. Number 18 on my list, this is a guy who was one of the best in the league for a while. And over the last few years, his public perception has just been going down and down and down. And 18 might even seem a little low, but for Mark Andrews right now, it's only because there is so much other tight end talent in the league. Going through and making this list, I had no idea how many tight ends I thought so highly of in the league. And it's hard to separate some of these guys, but everyone knows the problem with Mark Andrews. It's that his athleticism and his skills have decreased as he's gotten older. I will say, to his benefit, he's still got a 76% catch percentage, which is not bad, and he's got a great connection with Lamar still. That hasn't gone away. I think connections with quarterbacks out of any position on the field is most important at tight end. You could say it's at receiver, but there's a bunch of receivers on the field, and their jobs are not as directly correlated to helping their quarterback. Tight ends, I feel like my thing that I value most about tight ends is reliability. And it's hard to say that with Mark Andrews. He's that reliable because you saw in the playoffs, he had that drop on the 2-point conversion against Buffalo. But most of the time, Mark Andrews is a solid, reliable option for Lamar. And that's kind of the benefit you get with these older guys in the league that play tight end. It's like, all right, these guys have good connections with their quarterbacks. They're veterans. They know the game pretty well. And I think all that applies to Mark Andrews directly. Number 17. This is a guy. I was reading the stats, right? I'm looking number 1 in yards, Tyler Warren. Number 2, Trey McBride. Number 3, Kelce. Number 4 is Juwan Johnson of the Saints. And again, I'm going to go back to that point. If I had any knocks for this guy, it's the target share that he has amongst his team, right? He's competing with, yes, Olave's pretty good. Now Shaheed's gone. So Juwan Johnson is kind of going to be that second option. To his credit, though, it's not like he has a quarterback on that team that's going to be super good at connecting with their tight end. Bouncing between Spencer Rattler and now Tyler Shough has definitely not, been a benefit for Juwan Johnson, but he's definitely made the most of it. Fourth in yards, it seems like, 17 is kind of low, but he's also third in routes run in the league right now. So like I was saying, he's getting so many reps out there on the field that fourth in yards is pretty solid. He's only got a 71% catch percentage, which again, I have to knock him for that a little bit, not being as reliable like I like, but still super nice to see a guy in Juwan Johnson whose another name, we just, don't really hear much about, being a top 5 tight end in receiving yards this year. Number 16, out in Dallas, I believe he's still dating one of the Cavinder twins or whatever from Miami's basketball program. But I've got Jake Ferguson. Jake Ferguson right now, I believe he leads all tight ends in receptions. His average depth of target is 4.5, so he's not really getting deep down the field. But his catch percentage is almost at an 85 right now. And that's reliability. That's when Dak has to scramble a little bit because their O-line's been falling off, he can find Jake Ferguson every single time. And this is like kind of the ideal tight end. If I was building an offense, it's like $5 is like, I don't know, Travis Kelce or something. I take the $2 Jake Ferguson almost every time because that really fits a lot of successful tight ends that you've seen over the course of NFL history. He does have, low big play potential, right? So you have to knock that for him a little bit. You're not buying into a guy. You're not taking a tight end, Jake Ferguson, who's going to go win you a game, in all honesty. But he will really help Dak Prescott win a game, and as he can slowly tear through defenses. Next on my list, this is another rookie in the league right now, coming out of Michigan. He was the highest selected tight end in this draft when a lot of people thought that was definitely going to be Tyler Warren. It's Colston Loveland. Now, Colston Loveland, he's 19th in the league right now in receiving yards for tight ends, but I'm going to attribute that, and I feel like most people should, to the lack of him being utilized that much in this offense. No one's really seen too many Bears games so far, except for that, Cincinnati one. He had a huge game where Colston Loveland was the main, target for Caleb Williams. And as he grows, obviously I'm not in there, but I do trust Ben Johnson's mind. I think he does still have issues. Again, there's a reason he's not getting that involved. Again, I trust Ben Johnson as an NFL mind, but that high potential that you see, there's still flashes of it now. And I'm not going to knock him too much for not utilizing those when they're there and they are being used in high pressure situations. And when a rookie can come through in clutch situations, that's a great sign for the future of almost all their careers. One more thing, he's just super, super high as an athlete, right? He's definitely a muscular built tight end, but he's still got so much speed. And it's not as much in that, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, that somehow this guy is athletic and breaking tackles. You don't really see that. It makes sense why he's doing that. His average depth of target right now is 9.6. So he's big play machine. Obviously a little less reliability in there for Caleb Williams to hit him, underneath on those 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 3s, play action situations, but still a very bright future for Colston Loveland right now. Next, I've got Dalton Schultz at 14. Dalton Schultz is 9th in the league in receiving yards right now, and he's just, again, been uber reliable for CJ Stroud. Every week consistently, maybe with a few outliers, Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz are the top two receiving pass catchers on the Texans. And even though it's not Stroud anymore, it's Davis Mills. Their contributions, Collins and Schultz, has carried this offense. Their run game struggled a lot, but because it's not just Nico there, because they have a guy like Dalton Schultz on that team that can maybe create some room definitely over the middle for that team. Dalton Schultz loves just running about 5, 7, maybe 10 yards down the field. But his ability to get to 9th in the league in receiving yards with only a 6.5 depth of target, that's just consistency personified. I will say he's got a little bit of underrated ability to run after catch. I think I could have sworn he was with Dallas for this team, and he did that a little bit over there. He hasn't done it as much this season, but Dalton Schultz, again, I really value consistency, and his ability to be consistent for this offense has been really nice for the Texans this year. Number 13, this is a guy that might be a little high for a lot of people, but I've got Cade Otton. Cade Otton, 15th in the league in receiving yards right now. And I don't think he has any touchdowns so far this season, right? He's not really running down the field much. His big play potential is pretty low, but he's got a game with 9 catches, 82 yards, 4 catches, 40 yards, 7 catches, 65 yards, 5 catches, 51 yards, and 4 catches for 81 yards. Cade Otton has been a bright spot for the Bucs offense. Bucs offense is stacked with weapons when you looked at their roster going into this. With injuries, he's been able to come out a little more for this team, and he hasn't really struggled at all in his role. There was an interception that he kind of caught. It was a weird ruling in the Lions game, but Cade Otton and that connection with Baker, you can tell that connection has come pretty quick. And there were a lot of rumors earlier, like where they were saying like the Bucks should trade for a great tight end if they want to make a playoff push. Now, I definitely do think the Bucks should trade for a weapon or another, something to utilize in their offense. But I don't think it has to be replacing Cade Otton, because Cade Otton has been just like, he's been more than enough for a team of the Bucks caliber where they want to make a pretty deep playoff run this year. Number 12, another rookie this season, but not a rookie who was picked in the first round, not second round, not third round, not fourth round. Oronde Gadsden II. Father played in Miami for a while. Now he's with LA and Justin Herbert. Oronde Gadsden, I've talked about a few times on this podcast. He is at 6'5", 236, and he runs his route like a receiver. Again, 7th amongst tight ends in the league in yards. As a rookie, drafted in the 5th round. Incredible. And like, you wish that the Chargers had their main tight end as a blocking guy, because their offensive line has really been struggling now. But even with those struggles, Oronde Gadsden's able to get open fast enough. I do think he should improve on that a little bit, because it does take him a little bit for his routes to develop so far this season. But his ability to get open for Justin Herbert when Justin Herbert needs a target downfield, because that's how the Chargers like to run it. Slowly move. They can hit you with a big play, right? Oronde Gadsden has been like that guy for them to make these big plays. 7.8 average depth target, again, just backing up that he's getting super deep down the field. He had a game against the Colts that put him on my radar, 164 yards in one game. That's a performance against a good team that I can look at and be like, I can trust this guy in the playoffs. I can trust Oronde Gadsden's going to go up and make a big play for Justin Herbert and the Chargers when they're, down by 7 in a wild card game. Number 11, and I have been rethinking this one a little bit, because it's really easy to with a down year like this. But I've got TJ Hockenson. TJ Hockenson was probably a consensus top 7, top 6 tight end in the league for a few years ago. But right now, only 25th in the league in yards, right? Only 2 touchdowns. But he only has, oh my gosh, he has almost 300 routes run this year. But I will say his target share, like a lot of these top end tight ends, they're like 19%, 21%. His target share is only 14% right now. And like, when he's not getting the production, right, from the coaches, that one confuses me a little bit, because I've seen even this year TJ Hockenson make big plays down the field for his team. And he's not just that. He's not just a big play guy. He's also for sure a reliable underneath. Average depth of target is 4.7, probably the lowest we've seen so far on the list. And so TJ Hockenson, if it wasn't for injuries, he would definitely be seen in this 11 spot a little more. And I will knock guys for injuries for sure, right? I'm going to have to take injuries into consideration, but I don't do it as much as other people, because I still see their value when they're on the field. But yeah, TJ Hockenson, because of what he's done in the past, this kind of goes against a lot of what I believe for what makes a good player in the league. I think that if you consider the past too much, you kind of blind yourself to the future. But I do think TJ Hockenson is still a very good tight end when he can be healthy and when he can be on the field. Now, looking at our top 10, we're going to start with the receiver I've had on my fantasy teams the last 3 years or a tight end I've had on my fantasy team the last 3 years in a row. Dallas Goedert of the Philadelphia Eagles. I am not a Jalen Hurts fan. You could actually put me in the conversation of a Jalen Hurts hater, maybe, if you wanted to. But I think one thing that's propelled him up so high, is his offense around him. And a big part of that offense is Dallas Goedert. Only 17 in receiving yards so far this season. But he's been like a guy among with Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. And you can throw Dallas Goedert in to a guy who will make a big play for your team. 8.13 average depth of target. So he's got that big play potential. But don't forget, like, how often you'll see Dallas Goedert run to the sidelines and make a catch that he probably shouldn't have to if Hurts would throw it a little better. He does that every game. At least once he makes a 5 or 7 yard gain where he comes up clutch for that offense. And clutchness, again, for Dallas Goedert, it's a big thing for me. Only 205 routes run, and he's still putting up production like this is very impressive. In my eyes, for sure. I'm also a little bit of a fan of him just because, he's helped my fantasy team so much over the years. And he's as an athlete, he's a little more mediocre compared to some of the other guys on the list, especially as the tight end position grows into these super athletic guys. But Dallas Goedert, still consistency and reliability on the Eagles brings him at 10 for me. Number 9, this guy's been in a competitive room all year, but I've got Dalton Kincaid of the Bills. Do I think that Kincaid would be 8th in yards right now on a different team? Probably not. Do I think that his, average depth of target 9.56 is, preaching that he has reliability? It really doesn't. But he's in a competitive offense in terms of tight end. He's got a great rookie on there. Dawson Knox is also in that tight end room. It's super competitive. That's why he only has 153 routes run so far this season. And even on just 153, he's got to 8th in receiving yards on this team. And that just speaks to his ability to go make big plays. I think it was the Patriots game, I believe. It might have been before that. He had like 100 yards on only a few catches. Dalton Kincaid, seriously, in any tight end in the league, he might be number 1 on his big play potential. And that obviously, that connection he has with Josh Allen, like who loves the big play. Josh Allen loves hurling a 60-yard bomb down the field or hitting his man over the middle 20 yards in stride so he can make a play on his feet. His connection with Josh Allen, especially for such a young guy, is really special. And like his development, I don't see Kincaid getting much better at the lower aspects, at being a reliable target underneath. I don't see that growing too much for him. But what he's special at makes him so special. What he's really good at, which is going down the field and catching bombs from Josh Allen or running after catch and making big plays with his feet, that really tells the entire story of Kincaid. And to have a weapon like that on your offense, he's probably the best weapon on that Buffalo Bills offense. Keon Coleman's been struggling a lot this season. Khalil Shakir just doesn't have the talent to be a number 1 receiving option on the Bills. So I would probably give that to Kincaid. That's why he's earned number 9 on my list. Number 8. No like denial in my mind that this guy is someone, in the league who has the talent to be top 5, even top 3. But this is one where I'm going to say injuries hold him back so much. I've got George Kittle at number 8. 87.5 catch percentage is so good. That's so good for a tight end in this league. But only 122 routes run, not because that offense is super, like competitive to fighting for targets, but because he hasn't been able to stay healthy and on the field. And it's hard to not contradict myself too much when I was talking about Hockenson, who's only at 11, behind him. But the level of, not having George Kittle on the field, especially when you don't have a quarterback who's able to make plays, that impressively right now with only Mac Jones. I know Purdy's going to be back, I believe, this weekend, but it's just not being able to be there for that offense. And even sometimes when he is there, he's not able to consistently have big gains, which they need from a guy like George Kittle. Yes, he has the talent for it. Yes, he is the athlete for it. He's also so reliable, short, and then you can rely on him catching the ball only 5 yards down the field and running after catch with that. He runs with so much power and so much girth, as he's just that stiff arm. I'm not getting stiff arm by George Kittle. You can go score, buddy. I'm not facing that. But yeah, George Kittle only 33 and only 33rd in the league in receiving yards so far this season, and I have to blame that on the injuries, and I kind of have to attribute that to his ranking, which brings him a little lower. A guy probably in this entire list, right, that I'm higher on than most other people in any of this football space is Pat Freiermuth of the Steelers. I've also had this guy in fantasy a lot over the years, but he is only 23rd in yards, right? But like his combination of reliability over the middle and deep play percentage is like perfect tight end for me. Perfect. He's got a great build. He's like 6'5", 258, right? That build plus his athleticism in those big plays, plus his ability to just take the 7-yard, take the 10-yard gain, right? It's just the perfect combination of a tight end for me. If I was building a team, like I talked about before, Pat Freiermuth is super high up there for me, a guy I'd love to have on my team. He's got a 78% catch percentage. Like, this guy is just a really good combination of all 3 of those aspects. I think his connection with Rodgers needs some work, right? And then, like, years before, he was able to just kind of connect those quarterbacks immediately. And, Rodgers is pretty picky with who he's given targets to on his teams. But if that kind of went up a little bit, Freiermuth, I know he's got the talent and the archetype as a tight end to be one of those top 10 in the league. That's why I've got him here at 7. Number 6, right before our top 5. This is a guy I love coming out of South Dakota State. 5th in yards so far this season on only 216 routes. Tucker Kraft is a baller. Really put that on display versus the Steelers in prime time, that Sunday night game. Unfortunately, he's hurting out for the season right now, but I can't take that away from him. That's an injury that's not like, okay, that's like you're getting injured again. That's not really what I see from this injury from Tucker Kraft. That's like a 1 in a million injury that you see in these guys that ruin their seasons. But from what we saw from Tucker Kraft this season, his like run after catch is probably the best in the NFL. I believe that his yards after catch, 274 yards after catch, right? On 540 receiving yards. That's so impressive, bro. From Tucker Kraft, just being like such an athlete, right? This I'm going to bring up. When Travis Kelce was in his prime, Travis Kelce's ability to like bounce off defenders and not get tackled, it was like you're watching this guy and you're like, how is he doing that? I know that this guy isn't the athlete that has that capability of breaking off all these tackles, but he just does it. Tucker Kraft just does it, right? He's got 6 touchdowns, and he does only have a 72% catch percentage, and I will I'll kind of write that off a little bit because he is a rookie, because he is still, or not a rookie, because he is still young and he's still adapting to this offense. And Jordan Love, I don't want to talk about Jordan Love right now. He's been making me pretty angry as a football fan recently. But yeah, Tucker Kraft, you saw it against the Eagles. Only 7 points from that offense. That, again, is just another attributor towards how much Tucker Kraft meant to this offense before he went down. We are into the top 5. And at number 5, this is a guy who was number 1 for so many years. I've got Travis Kelce as the 5th best tight end in the league right now. He's 3rd in yards, right? He's got probably the best connection with his quarterback in the league. And his ability to get open downfield for big plays is almost unmatched. Now, how much of that is Mahomes being able to scramble for 10 seconds in the pocket around the pocket? Almost, all of it, probably. Travis Kelce is nowhere near the athlete he was 3 years ago. He's not even anywhere near the tight end he was a few years ago. His hands have taken a shot, He is dropping way more balls than he was before. But, big but here, that connection, it's a two-way thing. It's not just Mahomes being great and Travis Kelce being a product of Mahomes. Mahomes is made better by Travis Kelce as well. Travis Kelce, he's just like the same thing I talked about. Even now, he's still got a little bit of it. This guy's like 31, 32 as a tight end and still being able to bounce off defenders. His core and like his base and his ability to stay on his feet, right? His balance right there. His balance as a tight end is so good. And his mind of the game is also super impressive. So yes, physical traits have gone down. Yes, hands have gone down. But those things that you get from being a veteran tight end in the league, those have not gone away from Travis Kelce. Number 4 on my list right now. This guy leads the league in receiving yards. He's only a rookie coming out of Penn State. He's an amazing blocker, probably the best blocker on this list. I've got Tyler Warren. When you are able to come straight out of college and join an offense that wasn't that good the year before, and like your ability to boost everyone else up around you, Jonathan Taylor does not have the rushing season he's having right now if it weren't for Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren's like that 6 lineman personnel. They don't even need that all the time because Tyler Warren can play offensive lineman well. He can do that. And he's also leading the league in receiving yards. Like, this is just such, like, to see a year like this from Tyler Warren and not have him as the favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year is pretty shocking, especially for me. He leads the league also in yards after catch. Like, this guy is just like every aspect of being a tight end in the league. He's breaking those barriers and he's adding new elements. Like, we haven't seen a blocking guy like this be valued so much in the draft, and there was a reason he was. There's a big reason he was valued so much for his blocking, and we've seen that pay off in the NFL this year. His catch percentage is not even at a 75, right? And like 75 is still a solid catch percentage, but I'm only going to have him 4th. I'm not going to have him any higher than that because of that. And this could, again, just be lightning in the bottle. That whole entire Colts offense is working so well. He's got good receivers around him. That's definitely going to open up lanes for Tyler Warren himself. But you can't deny this production. You can't just ignore it, for sure. Number 3 into our top 3 right now. I've got Trey McBride of the Arizona Cardinals. Second to Tyler Warren in receiving yards in the league, only by 16. Those two clearly lead the way. Travis Kelce's like 60 yards away from catching Trey McBride. And he also leads the league in catches as well. Now, he 100% leads the league in routes run. Like, he has ran way more routes, gotten targeted way more times than like any other tight end in the league. But he's using almost all of these targets very well. Not even a 70% catch percentage. He's at a 69.32 right now. You want him to catch the ball more. You want him to be a little more consistent over the middle. But, like, you cannot ignore his ability to run the football. When he catches that ball, I can't remember a time when he's gone down after the first bit of contact. Like, Trey McBride as an athlete, I'm confident I can say he's the best pure athlete in the league for tight ends right now, right? He's just it's like, if you want a guy who's going to be a leader in your offense, who you're going to be able to give all these targets to, Trey McBride is the perfect example of that. Number 2 on my list, only 6th in the league in yards, right? But Sam Laporta is an elite tight end in the league. 81% catch percentage, right? That is just so impressive, the reliability you get from that. And, like, still 6 in yards in that offense is super impressive. That offense is probably the most stacked talent-wise in the entire league. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. Sam Laporta doesn't get lost in any of that. 100% he doesn't get lost. He's got a dope mustache, right? It's like, it's just like ideal tight ends in the league. For me, it's like Pat Freiermuth. This is like a more athletic version of Pat Freiermuth. Average depth of target right now is only 5.6. So he's not relying on catching the ball deep downfield. He's got a great yards after catch, run after catch ability, and like 18th in target share and 6th in yards. Like, he doesn't get lost in that offense because he doesn't need a bunch of targets to produce. He just doesn't need that. Sam Laporta is a clear top 5 tight end. I think most people should have Sam Laporta in their top 5. And he's still super young, man. He's going to get so much better. All right. Now for my number 1 tight end in the league. Look, 14th in the league in yards, right? But, like, Brock Bowers has, in my opinion, the best route running, the best hands, and an elite mind for the game, and he's only in his 2nd year. If Brock Bowers, who was hurt a little bit this year, had any other quarterback than Geno Smith, I promise you, or any other coach than Pete Carroll right now, I promise you his production would skyrocket. I think he only had like 2 or 3 targets in that Denver game. You're losing the game. Why don't you go to Brock Bowers? This is not a conversation about that. Let me lock in. Brock Bowers is the best tight end in the league, in my opinion. And, like, you can say to me, like, he's only 14th in yards. He's got, he's only got a 74% catch percentage, right? But, like, that 14th in yards is coming on 173 routes run this season. Guys above him, 287, 252, 298. Excuse me. 284, 282. He's right with these guys on like half of the routes run, half of the targets. And it's mind-blowing to me that they don't use him in that offense more. Again, bringing up that mind for the game. Like, Brock Bowers, his route running is so good. It's so hard to explain this one because I can't use stats, and it's hard to use film as well because he's not getting utilized enough. But last year, he was the best tight end in the league, stat-wise. And now that their offense has kind of moved away from him for some reason, he's dropped below that in most people's minds. But I'm not going to forget what he did last year. I'm not going to forget his incredible hands and his probably the best in the league for a tight end route running wise. Also his build. He's a super athletic guy. He can run real fast. Unfortunately, he might have had to sacrifice his hairline for that. I'm not sure what happened there, but Brock Bowers is my number 1 tight end in the league. And that will wrap up this video, guys. I appreciate all of you for watching this one. Let me know if this is like something you guys want me to, top 20 running backs in the league, top quarterbacks in the league, tier lists I'll even do. All that stuff is super fun for me. But yeah, I had a really good time writing this one, really good time filming it. Remember that Jesus loves all of you. I love you guys. And yeah, have a great week.